and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Orphan Barrel Fable and Folly 14-year-old?
Yeah.
American whiskey, Dustin, this time. This particular one comes in at 45% ABV. And what can you tell us about it, my friend?
So the story on this one, Mike, and I guess there's a reason why it's Fable and Folly is because I've got a long-winded story, apparently, which I don't enjoy giving, but whatever. So originally, Diageo came out with this release of these Orphan barrels, these closed distilleries, and of course, they ran out of closed distillery whiskey and wanted to keep the brand. So, of course, they've now just been flat out lying to people and doing things like releasing Dickel. Because obviously, George Dickel's a closed distillery. It's not that giant place in Tennessee. So, what they did with this one is they took bourbons that they had from their original Orphan barrel range, and basically the leftovers, poured them all together, and then said, oh, we don't have enough bourbon. We need something else. So they added something else. And what we know from that is, if you read the label, it doesn't say bourbon, and it does say Indiana. Distillation was
MGP,
in here. So
sure.
There's MGP. I don't know if it's a rye or if it's a light whiskey. The bourbon component here, Mike, however, is all the stuff they had from the old Bernheim distillery. Mm-hmm. So it's the 15-year forged oak, which we haven't brought the people yet. Mm-hmm. It's the 20-year-old Barterhouse, which we probably will not be bringing anybody ever. And then whatever the Rhetorics were, which I don't know if we've done that or not, but maybe we'll get around to that.
Sure.
So 15 to 25-year-old bourbon with 14-year MGP something.
Nice color.
It's not terrible, but, I don't know what's in it, though, so who knows. Maybe for not bourbon, it's okay.
All right, I'll tell you what. Comes off a little hotter than 45%, and since it's Indiana, we assume it's MGP. Mm-hmm. I can smell that rye big time in this thing.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, did they actually put a 14-year-old rye? Because I've never seen a 14-year-old MGP rye. That's old.
It comes off extremely minty. And the minty I normally would get from MGP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're definitely getting a lot of oak in here. You can definitely tell there's old bourbon. Mm-hmm. A lot of vanilla here, a lot of that candied notes that you get from those Rhetorics and other whiskeys where you get a lot of like candied vanilla oak.
I tell you what, a nice dusty oak note just in general on this one too. You can tell it's old.
Oh, yeah. This definitely smells much older than 14.
Which, I've always thought with the Orphan Barrel series in general, I think it's old whiskey. Mm-hmm. If it's already closed distillery, something's been laying around for a long time, it gives the thought process of this is old dusty whiskey and this is old dusty whiskey.
And keep in mind, like the 25-year-old Rhetoric in here, if it's 25 and they didn't keep it aging in a barrel, it's been sitting in a steel vat for a few years. So it's barrels from 30 years ago.
Still old whiskey.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it's older trees.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
as far as when it was aging.
Yeah, when they cut that tree down, it wasn't 25 years ago. It was 30 years ago. Something like that.
Yeah, a wonderful smelling whiskey.
Yeah, it's really complex, really rich. And you're right. It does not smell 45% and chill filtered, which it is.
No, and there's almost like a nice floral note coming up on this. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lily, like a little bit of a daisy note, but then there's that dark, like just backbone to this whiskey.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of Bed Bath & Beyond kind of soap and candles kind of notes going on.
Yeah, it's a dense smell to even pick up something light like a flower note to it, which is an interesting note.
Yeah, so just different types of aged vanillas, leathers, oaks.
There's almost like a dense vanilla to this.
Yeah, it's something, again, it's like almost like you put vanilla extract in an oak barrel.
Heavy.
You let it mature. Yeah, again, it's that old school classic aged bourbon, which you just don't get anymore. Like, you just can't find those notes.
Yeah, you're right. In one of those notes in that medley of notes is definitely the oak part of it, and it's just a beautiful oak component in this.
Yeah, there might even be a hint of nuttiness to it, just hints of peanuts maybe.
That's something I found on my whiskey journey I appreciate more and more is just a really nice, not even subtle, but a strong secondary oak note to whatever it is I'm drinking.
Yeah, and it's beautiful oak. Again, everything about this nose is just really nice. this is honestly, this smells amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great nose, 90 plus.
Yeah. All right, so Mike's kind of getting in there. I'm just kind of giving one last once over. And there's just, honestly, we could probably go for 10, 20 minutes. There's even like some bookstore notes. In fact, we were talking about the Compass box that just came out that's supposed to have like bookstore notes. This to me smells more like a bookstore. All right, what are you getting, Mike?
Well, it's definitely rye. So you just definitely that's a really nice mint too. It's not sharp, but it's both. There's a lot of it. You know what I mean? Normally, the volume would normally be overpowering, but I think since it's older whiskey, it's just coating. Not really that sweet. I mean, there's a twinge of sweetness to it.
There's vanilla that's like unsweet vanilla.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hollow vanilla.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. But the oak note kind of comes in here at the finish. Kind of just kind of wafts over all that mint note, but the mint note's staying there with you, almost steaming. It's almost like water evaporating, almost like a Mentos note to it, almost. With again with a really nice, beautiful oak note, and just like a nice river of vanilla coming in at the end.
Yeah,
very impressive whiskey from what I know from this series, which a few of these times they've been a disappointment.
The one thing I got to say though, that 45%, the chill filtering, it's very obvious.
I thought it was still pretty strong as far as what it felt like as far as the alcohol. But
the flavor on your mouth because of the rye spice, it's really spicy and bold. But
sure,
up front when it's going over your tongue, it's thin. There's no oils here.
Yeah, there's no oils for sure. It was sort of reminiscent of that Lagavulin triple mature that was 48%.
Yeah.
But you could tell it was probably chill filtered. You're right. There was something kind of, remember I said kind of hollow vanilla? Mm-hmm. It's kind of, there was something.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm not putting water on this. There is no way this will take water. There's just no chance. It's when you do that with any of these Orphan barrels, you're going to bring out tannins that you don't want.
To each their own.
Yeah, it's just. I've also had this before, guys. The water didn't work. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't like it.
I didn't put a lot in, because I knew it was older whiskey. What did this run you, by the way?
So this came in at about $160 with 25-year-old bourbon in it. That price is not insane in today's market. Mm-mm. It's probably more than it's worth, but I think if you're a bourbon drinker and you're interested in old school bourbon and you're okay with a little lower proof and chill filtering, I don't think it's a bad buy. If you're a whiskey drinker who drinks all whiskeys, I'd pass. Your money's better off for a better bottle.
I mean, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. This is a must get if you're at a bar that's got a bottle.
Yeah, I mean,
$20 or less.
This is something I will again say nothing really off-putting. Mm-mm. I will say with water, it isn't as big of a deal as you made it out to be.
Okay.
The mint subsided a little bit. Maybe there's a bit of a tannic bitter note to it that wasn't there before. But it isn't.
For me, I start getting, it gets a little bit thinner, and it just can't get thinner for me on the palate. And then I do get more tannins, and that's a no-no for me with this bottle. It just, because the tannins are already, they're noticeable, but that rye spice really does a good job of livening it up.
It's so mini and light. I tell you what, I agree. Now that I pay attention to it, it does, you're right, when it first hits your tongue, it does feel a little thin. With water, it was very noticeable. Mm-hmm. Still, nice minty rye whiskey.
So what do you
that's
think on the
old
score,
with
then?
oaky.
You're actually coming away with a much higher opinion of this than I was expecting. So,
I'm between an 87 and an 88. I'm going to go with an 87, just because I don't think it does anything exceptionally well. But I mean, not ABV wise or anything else like that. But it's good old whiskey. It's enjoyable whiskey. That's why I was still getting an 87. I don't think it's 180 or whatever is probably too
160,
much.
160.
That's about right.
I mean, again, in today's market with bourbon type products,
it's actually probably low in that scenario. But I'm just saying overall whiskey value, that's about right. 87. I feel good about saying that. Where are you at?
So I was between 85 and 86. The mouthfeel just really sets me off. But because of that rye spice, it really makes this whiskey kind of fun to drink. So I'm going to go with an 86, and I feel it's a fair score for what this is. I wish these things would stop chill filtering. I think that's the biggest problem, even over the proof.
I just feel like anytime there's a decent amount of rye in this one, there's a decent amount of rye in this one. That mint sort of masks that thinness to some degree.
It helps big time.
And I almost these almost come off to me at 45%, like a normal 46% Scotch. They really do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Scotch, so there's a little something lost. I think it's really more chill filtration than it is the ABV.
And I agree, but also I gotta say, American whiskey, I feel like really needs to be 50, whereas I think single malts can be a little lower. I feel like if you're under 50 on an American whiskey, you're really going too low, just because that's not what American whiskey is. American whiskey needs to be bolder. That's what makes American whiskey work. We're using virgin oak. We're gonna have those charred barrels. You're gonna get that intense flavor.
My favorite American whiskeys are bourbons, or whiskeys made here in the States. I mean, they're absolutely aggressive whiskeys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, second time today, I'm a little bit higher than you, but again, it was enjoyable whiskey to me. Maybe I haven't picked it apart enough, but we'll go back to it at some point.
Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with this whiskey. It's just not a wow bottle.
I agree. If you had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. And until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you next time.